Before we begin, take a moment to simply watch. In a world of bright lights and quick movement, this fish does neither. The Mandarin Dragonet is often chosen for its color, but it can only be kept for its needs. Today, we'll follow this little hunter through its daily life, what it eats, why it so often struggles in captivity, and what kind of aquarium becomes a true home. Because with mandarins, success isn't about luck. It's about whether the tank can quietly provide what the fish requires hour after hour, day after day. In the dim folds of a coral reef, color can be more than beauty. It can be a warning, a disguise, or a promise. And here, no larger than a thumb, moves a fish that seems painted by the sea itself. This is the Mandarin Dragonet. It doesn't race, it doesn't chase. It drifts unhurried over rock and sand, pausing as though it's reading the reef. Those fins aren't built for speed, but for control. Hover, settle, peck, and move on. Because the mandarin's life is spent in the smallest places, crevices and grains where tiny prey hide. Not big meals, not dramatic strikes. Instead, thousands of careful bites taken all day long. These are hunters of the miniature. Copepods and other tiny crustaceans, creatures most aquarists never notice, yet they're the quiet pulse of a healthy reef. And that is the first lesson. This fish does not eat at feeding time. It eats all the time. In an aquarium, the mandarin's greatest threat is rarely aggression. It is quiet hunger, masked by beauty. A new fish may look fine for weeks until the body thins and the energy fades. By then, the tank has already answered the question. There simply isn't enough to hunt. So to care for a mandarin, you must first care for what the mandarin eats. A successful tank is not merely a glass box of water. It is a living landscape, rich with surfaces, shelter, and time. And it must be steady. For a mandarin, aim for the calm consistency of a reef aquarium. Temperature held between 75 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, salinity 1.020 to 1.026, and pH around 8.1 to 8.4. Ammonia and nitrite must remain zero, always. Keep the system clean and balanced, with nitrate kept low and the water buffered so pH doesn't wander. Live rock here is more than decoration. It is pasture. Every surface becomes a feeding ground. Every crack, a nursery for the tiny life the mandarin depends on. And if you can provide a refugium, it becomes a sanctuary pods, breeding beyond reach, then drifting back into the display like a steady supply. The most reliable mandarins go into aquariums that have found their rhythm, stable conditions, and an established population of microfauna. In other words, the tank must be ready before the fish arrives, not the other way around. But even the right tank can be undone by the wrong company. This fish is not built for competition. It feeds slowly, one bite at a time, and it can be outpaced by quicker mouths without a single fin ever being raised. The best companions are peaceful fish that keep the reef calm, clownfish that stay to their corner, cardinal fish that hover, firefish that retreat, and many gentle gobies and blennies that don't turn meals into a scramble. Shrimp and snails are generally safe. So if you are planning a mandarin, remember, you are not choosing one fish. You are choosing what will be allowed to eat first. When selecting one, let the fish show you its condition. A healthy mandarin moves with purpose, pecking at surfaces. Its belly should be gently rounded, not pinched. If possible, a captive-bred fish may be more willing to take prepared foods, but even then, the reef within the tank must still do its work. And so, ask one question quietly and honestly. Can my aquarium feed this fish every day, even when I'm not watching? If your reef is mature, stable, and alive between the rocks, this little jewel may truly flourish. If not, the kindest choice is to wait. Because on a reef, patience is not an inconvenience. It is the way life is built. So, what have we learned from this jewel of the reef? That its beauty is not a promise of hardiness. That its life depends on the smallest creatures in the aquarium, creatures many people never notice at all. And that the best way to keep a mandarin is not to chase it with solutions after the fact, but to build the right conditions before it ever arrives. If this helped, subscribe for more species care guides and ring the bell so you don't miss the next one. Drop your tank size, how long it's been running, and your current fish list in the comments, and I'll help you work out whether a mandarin will merely endure or truly thrive.